everybody. This is the Geek Protagonist. I have my friend Vicky here.
Hello.
And today we're talking about this special Anne Hathaway situation. I held off on talking about it because my friend would be a person that have some experience with this situation that I feel is a little bit of a controversy. So, Vicky, would you like to start or introduce or anything?
Hello. How's everybody tonight? So I just got caught up on this lovely new movement called #NotAWitch, and definitely have a couple mixed feelings about it. As someone who personally has a disability, and this is why I joined my friend Chris tonight, because I am, as you can see, missing fingers. I've been missing fingers since I was 3 years old from an accident, unfortunately. But I have never claimed myself or seen myself as disabled, because I can still do almost everything anybody does. I still think it's a little unfair, especially since Miss Hathaway had to apologize to the disabled community for her role in a movie that I'm pretty sure clearly months before she took this role that she didn't obviously know she was going to insult people. But as somebody who's missing fingers, I am not insulted 100%. Because for me, this is a fictional character. It's a movie that I did watch in the 90s as a kid and then still enjoy. But I don't understand why the offense is. You know, it's a fictional character. And would it have been any different if the character had 4 fingers and they were green or a different color? Yes, I don't understand why she had to apologize and why people are jumping on this movement. You know, because if anything, anybody would be mad at the directors, the people that produced the story. You know, if you really think about it, they're just changing a little bit of difference from the original movie to make it a little bit more modern. So I don't understand why people are mad. And like I said, personally, I don't take offense to it. And as somebody who also practices Wiccan, it's still a fictional character. Having any limbs missing is not going to make me a witch or make me think, you know, not a witch. Just that doesn't make any sense. So.
Yeah, so the condition that she seems to reflect is the ectrodactyly, derived from the Greek of ektroma, which is abortion, and dactylios, which is finger. This involves a deficiency or absence of one or more central digits of the hand or foot, aka split hand, split foot. And I also spoke to my niece, who is 7 years old, who can't be on camera. And when I asked her, I said, "Do you see that as a person?" Because she actually watched the film. She said, "No, it's a monster because her face was misshapen, and even for her hands, which you'll see when I put the picture on here, that no human has hands like that of any sort with the talons or anything like that." And it's kind of to a point where I'm seeing it that people keep finding reasons to be outraged. I got a phone call from my other friend who said when he was watching Fox News, they had a child on there, 6 years old, saying that's not what the book is, or why did they do that? I've always come to the belief that you can take offense, not really give it. And when you go down this hole, it starts the question, should you be insulted by the Ninja Turtles? They do have human traits. They can turn into humans. They've done it in a cartoon show, amongst other things. They have 3 fingers. Should bald people be upset? Because the witches are normally bald. As she said, should people who practice witchcraft, Wiccan, and all these different things, should they be upset how they've been portrayed through movies throughout the years? When I see this, it's like, where do you take it? Why is it that when you watch that, that's what you see? You see this thing with 3 fingers who's not a human, and if you've ever followed it, read the book or anything like that, clearly states they're not humans. Their heads are misshapen, their mouths are misshapen, they're mutations. And I seen someone say that they thought a child would say, well, that's a witch. Well, in this movement of the hashtag, I seen people with missing hands. I know you just looked up a couple of them for the hashtag movement. I've seen people with missing legs and missing limbs and other things. And it's nice that everyone's getting together and saying, hey, a hashtag, and they're doing it. But the problem I have is, how do you go from her having 3 fingers that look more like a creature kind of similar to like a pterodactyl or something with long claws that wrap around the table versus, and also openly admitted there was no thought or intention towards making fun or teasing of anyone. Why would you think that people immediately would do this? But then yet we've had media for years. Like I said, Ninja Turtles. How about this horror movie Pumpkinhead? That creature had 4 fingers and was bald, but it's based on a human person.
Right.
So now should you be insulted by the movie Pumpkinhead? So it kind of comes down to where does it end? And I asked my friend Vicky here because she has 2 check boxes for this film, and I just see it as, if you're going to complain or you don't like something, first off, why are you forcing the actor who took a job with no intention of trying to insult someone and openly said it in her apology? You're putting them through the coals, yet I don't hear people calling out AT&T or Warner Brothers. They made a statement, but they voluntarily made that statement. And they specifically pointed out to you, fictional character, because you need to understand that when they made this thing, it's not even based on a person. It's literally the witches are creatures, otherworldly creatures. So are you going to be insulted that Casper the Ghost is bald? So that's where I'm kind of thrown off by this.
And not only that, I can see it would be a reason for her to apologize if it was a movie about a disabled person, and you're making too light of it. But it's not. It's literally a fictional character,
That is a good point too.
It just boggles my mind the offense that people take for certain things versus fictional. There's so many other things going on in the world, and everybody's picking on that right now. You can call me whatever you want, think I'm insensitive, and I'm not. I've dealt with so much adversity in my life, but I just keep on moving because guess what? I'm still going to be me at the end of the day. And no matter what anybody says, you just keep on moving. And just the era of being so sensitive about different things. And you can call me boomer, whatever hashtag that you use for people like, oh, well, you're not sensitive. I grew up with being teased, and when I survived, I am 36, I survived, and it makes me fear for people that are growing up now. You're not going to survive not saying that being picked on was a smart thing or being bullied is good, but nobody's bullying anybody. It's literally somebody just got offended. It's not like people are going out and bashing people for, oh my God, you're missing fingers, you're clearly a witch. There's no witch hunt going on for that. It just scrambles my brains.
And I actually also looked up the section in the movie about when the witches reveal themselves. I actually looked at that scene because I did not get the chance to watch the film yet. She did not treat that as a disability. She treated it like this was her natural state.
She was proud of it. She was proud of who she was.
Because in her natural state, that's how she was born, but it's not a disability. It's just how they're formed because they're not humans. And now if people are taking and going, well, you're trying to say a person that's missing this is not human, then now we have another weird question of, okay, so is Candyman now insulting? Because Candyman turned into a ghost with bees. You have to look at that. Or is Thanos something bad towards bald people?
Right. Or people with purple skin.
Yeah, it comes to the question, and I'm not being facetious. I'm asking a legit question. Thanos is bald. Thanos is always bald, from what I understand, and he snapped half the universe out. So now, does that mean that that's a representation of bald people? Or were you thinking about when you watched that movie, oh man, this guy is a big villain. He's this alien thing, and he has the gauntlet. So that's where I have the problem too. Why is it that certain things get picked out that had nothing to do with it? And like Vicky said, it would be totally different if they were like, haha, look at me, I only got 3 fingers, or they were doing something insulting. No, it was something to look even more otherworldly. And if you're going, well, why didn't they do that in the book? That's not what the book said. Okay, Tony Stark didn't have an arc reactor until the movies. Hulk wasn't the super soldier program. Hulk was just a gamma radiation accident. Then in the Ultimates, they made it a super soldier program. Movies and books don't translate the same way. There's characters who change out. There's Stuff like that. If you watch the Dredd film, for example, look at the gear. The gear is not the same. But the Judge Dredd old movie, the gear looked almost walked out the comic book, but yet Dredd took his helmet off. These are how things work sometimes now. Sometimes change is good or bad, but they wanted to do something a little different than the way they did the witch before. And this one, they wanted it where it looks like, from what I could tell, and they still wanted Anne to show through where, I forgot her name, but the one in the original that played Morticia, she was completely grotesque, like she completely transformed. And but her name is actually escaping me right now. But yeah, so they might have wanted to do something to make her look a little bit closer to Anne Hathaway, so you still made a connection. Her being head witch. So I think it's a nice gesture that people have gotten together to show, hey, you know, I'm not this, but I think the rally cry is under the wrong reasons.
It's unless it becomes an
Angelica Houston.
That's her name. Look her up right now.
Who's a wonderful actress.
Right, credit to both of them for being wonderful actresses, honestly.
But she turned around and Angelica Houston played it. But I think when you see Angelica Houston in the full makeup, like, it's very hard to connect the two.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, if people wanted to complain about this film, why didn't they complain about how bad the movie is? Because apparently the critics and Rotten Tomatoes is not doing well. Like, people really weren't feeling it. I personally was not the biggest fan of the race swap, because I don't think at the time period where they're doing it made sense. But, you know, this is not the first time I talked about it, but I haven't watched the film yet to give my full opinion on it. So I'm like, these are just initials I don't like.
Well, just considering that the grandmother of the little boy that gets turned to the mouse, originally, she's from Europe. You know, they go to her house in Europe, you know, so, because their parents died. Or didn't really die, but I think they did die.
Yeah.
You know?
And at the time period, for what they did it now, that's why I said I also need to watch it, because I don't know if they it looks like they didn't modernize it, but they could have. But from the time period where it's before, if it is around that same time period, black people wouldn't have as much leeway as I saw. Like, they look like it was something today, a black person and a Caucasian person would be together, like today. And it just, in that time period, it doesn't make sense. It would make more sense to do that. I get they're trying to do the diversity, but you guys already know about me and the tokenism thing. I'd rather see something new, or you try to actually do something than a remake and do it. And I was really surprised because Robert Zemeckis, like I said, didn't watch it, but from how people are talking about it, I actually expected a little more out of him for it. But instead, we're all worried about how many fingers and digits she has that do not look human. Her face isn't human because she has like shark teeth, as my niece put it. She said, I quote her, shark monster teeth. And these long fingers that have long claws on them that wrap around that are inhuman because the witches are not humans.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised anybody from the pagan or Wicca community haven't even said anything yet, or maybe they have, because that's still slightly insulting.
Well, they haven't, because it's same thing as I haven't seen any bald people say anything because the witches are bald. Yeah. It does come down to it where I know some people may look at like, oh, you're just, well, no. If they're evil, they're being depicted as evil, and one of the things is that they're bald, and they also practice witchcraft, which are people who do. They practice these different things. That technically is putting someone's religious beliefs in a bad light. So that's how I see it. And like I said, why aren't people insulted by the Ninja Turtles? If you go by the new comic, there's a character, a new female named Jenica. She doesn't have 3 fingers. She has more. But the other turtles have their 3 fingers. Yet they do have human DNA inside their mutagen. That's why they turned into humanoids. So, like, where are we going to stop? What about the Thing from Fantastic Four? He has 4 fingers. Are you going to be insulted now? Like, where does this stop? That's how I see it. I think this has gone overboard in the fact that I got phone calls that on the news, there's a 6-year-old on there saying that she read the book and do this. First off, I don't know anybody who's read that book. I've checked my circles, different people, from people who are hardcore sports to this, and that book the old movie didn't do the book any favors because the old movie was not received well. It became a cult classic later. So I'm not saying the little girl didn't, but I'm feeling like that was more of a, hey, let's get this kid on here to kind of drum up some news. Maybe she did. Maybe someone on here, hey, tell me if you read the book. I have not. And I have not been able to meet one person in multiple circles and asking their friends and stuff. Not one person has read that book.
And not to discredit it, but it's definitely not, a cult classic of any sort. So.
Well, at least, yeah, not the new one. The original is now a cult classic. Like, people love that movie now. I mean, I always liked the movie.
Well, same here.
I always was. Well, this is a spoiler, but I was always curious about when his tail got cut off. Did it actually, when he turned back to a human,
did he cut something
off?
Yeah, I always thought about that too. I'm like,
because he seemed fine.
Right, but I'm like, did he cut off some skin? Did he have a scar? I always made me wonder about that.
So that's just one of those weird things that happens to me when I watch films. But yeah, so to me, this is one of those. I like the sentiment of like people coming together, doing a rally cry. But I feel like this is another 2020. We got to find something to be outraged about. So let's be outraged about this until the next thing comes, which is, as you already know, now the Star Wars with Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian's armor. So, now this is getting burned up. But still, raises the question. But I didn't want to just talk about this and seem like I'm a person of it, because I did see some people go, oh, you can't, if you don't have this thing. Well, besides my friend Vicky here, my father who raised me, also, he has all of his digits, but he has certain disabilities as well. But I thought, hey, a person I know that does have this, because I know a lot of times I'll mention people, I say, hey, my friend from college or this or that, and I don't want you guys to always think that I'm just making these things up. I know quite a few different people from different backgrounds. So, is there anything else you have to say?
Not really. So, like I said, I'm just baffled of something like that to be such a hot topic amongst people right now. So.
Yeah. I personally think that all the people need to take a second. Sometimes not everything is always about you doing like something to insult you. It was literally, we want to make a creature that's from otherworldly. Hey, you know what? 3 elongated inhuman fingers that wrap around to the point where you put it on the curve, her fingers wrap like this, which is not normal, with claws that go under the thing. Maybe that's a little otherworldly, but I see they're like, oh, we'll make better decisions in the future. Really, if your intention is not to offend like that, I don't think you need to make... People shouldn't have to now start thinking, well, when I make this creature or I make this thing, wait, who am I offending? You need to let the creators create. Now, like she said, if it was something where they're like, haha, or making fun of it, people that have a disability, then that's a different story. But this had nothing to do with that. They wanted the witch to look inhuman, but yet still like Anne Hathaway. And those hands look out of place. And there is no human on this planet that has fingers that long. And if you try to show me that, I would love to see it, because those times when I looked at that scene, I was like, yeah, those things were longer than Freddy Krueger's fingers. But that's all I have to say. Exactly. So you're good?
Yeah, I've said my piece.
All right. Well, this is the Geek Protagonist. You stay safe, you stay healthy, you stay real. And I'll see you in the next one and drop some more videos.
Ciao.
Hey, thank you for visiting my channel. This is the Geek Protagonist. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please, it'll really help me out in the channel if you actually share these videos. If you like what I'm doing, please hit that bell notification. Hit it, click. This way you won't miss any of my videos. Also, there's a thing on there that says personal and all. Hit the all. This way you'll get them every time for the notifications. I'm trying to, grow, trying to do commentary about what's going on. And I want to thank you again. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay real. This is the Geek Protagonist. I'm out, and I'll see you.